You have your business to run and your life to live, of course. And you see me doing Creating Reorganized, creating my content, posting all over the social media platforms, and you wonder, what would all that effort be, and would it be worth it?
Creating, reorganized, creating, reorganized, creating, reorganized, creating, reorganized. If you are a new or an aspiring founder of your small business and have no time to waste or really struggle to do your social media marketing, you will enjoy our Creating Reorganized show. In my day job as a psychology professor, I teach my bachelor and master students in real life how to reorganize processes in a goal-directed and future-proof way in companies. And that's what I had done for a living as a former IT strategy consultant. For my own career coaching business on the side, I can only dedicate a fraction of my time because, I prioritize care work for my little children. I face the same or similar challenges like all small business owners. So I applied all my experience and knowledge to create my other video podcast, Postdoc Transformation Show, to streamline my social media marketing and to boost sales of my coaching, e-courses, and affiliate products or services. I strategically capitalize on professional tools to scale my impact according to my vision of life. Listen and subscribe to this Creating Reorganized show so you will learn to do the same for your own business, to build the know, like, and trust factor, and to boost sales of your services or products. I will wrap everything up from a psychological method, theory, or concept point of view, so stay tuned until the end of this episode. Especially if you are my bachelor and master student in real life, I would love for you to take notes and maybe even already recognize my arguments.
Dear Creating Reorganized, and welcome back to another episode of the Creating Reorganized show, the show that helps you market your business according to your vision of life. I'm your host, Professor Dr. Eleonore Soei-Winkels, and today we're going to be diving into the single biggest question that keeps every business owner up at night: return on investment. This is your full-on return on invest playbook for the business owner. For us business owners, this is a business promotion podcast. So we're going to break down how to calculate the value of your business promotion video podcast from the money you invest into your podcasting gear, like, a mic and a video camera, but also your podcasting tools, like the software that you need to edit and publish and schedule your social media content. So all of these investments, they need to be compared to the sales that you can make because of your podcast. So you need to be uniquely tracking down whether a sale has been informed, triggered, boosted by your podcast. Okay, so let's be real. You would not invest your precious time and resources into a marketing strategy without knowing it's going to fully pay off, right? So this title of the Creating Reorganized episode is How to Increase the Return on Invest of Your Business Promotion Video Podcast. Now, get ready to find out how your strategic, doable, and plannable efforts can lead to measurable and scalable results, giving you the freedom to cherry pick your ideal clients and market your business according to your vision of life. So let's deep dive into our playbook. And as always, I have chapterized all my content, so this way you can skip or jump to another chapter that is maybe more valuable to you. But in the first chapter, I want to establish your challenge as a business owner. Okay, so we want to take it from messy efforts to foundational trust. So if you haven't lived under a stone, you've probably already posted on social media. But let me ask you, what did you get out of that so far? If your answer is messy, at least, well, then listen on. Before we dive in, a quick little nod to all of you who have sent in your messages. Your feedback on our last episodes of season 1 has been phenomenal. Every time I have a new season of either one of the shows, my community on LinkedIn or on social media actually does change. And that's really interesting. I just wanted to say thank you for all the DMs, because business owners really ask questions. You want to know what and why. Keep that up, letting me into your world. It shows me that you're looking for a sustainable business and life. And that is exactly what we are going to build together in this episode. When I read this listener's message, I really had to laugh hard. To be honest, that actually inspired this episode today. The question was, Eleonore, is it worth to start a business promotion video podcast now? Can you break down the costs and benefits? And I love this entrepreneurial question because, most of the podcasters I see online do not start with these questions. They want to know how can they storytell and how can they have a co-host, and I don't know. And they don't know that to be consistently putting out episodes, it will take a lot of effort. And that one is opportunity cost because you don't do a lot of other things instead. So if you are a small business owner and you want to have a business promotion video podcast, you need to know the costs up front. So you need to understand, is it worth it? Yes or no. So we're going to be tackling the elephant in the room, return on investment. Yes, the ROI. So it's really the question behind the question of every single one of you. You are sitting on the fence to have your own video podcast one day. But you have also your business to run and your life to live, of course. And you see me doing Creating Reorganized, creating my content, posting all over the social media platforms, and you wonder, what would all that effort be? And would it be worth it? Why, you are wearing multiple hats. You're the CEO, you do the marketing, the sales, the product development, sometimes even customer service. So is this time investment going to pay off? But the question behind that really is this entrepreneurship, family life balance concern. You're worried that the money you're spending on equipment, software, and maybe even a little help if you hire me, for example, isn't going to give you the return on invest that you need, especially in this cost-sensitive market. And the short answer is, the higher price your services and products are, the more a business promotion video podcast is worth your efforts. Okay? So if you have high ticket sales, you want more sales, then a video podcast can bring you that promotion. Easy. If you have low ticket sales, well, then getting more sales might not be worth it to create all the effort to have a business promotion video podcast. Why? Because with Creating Reorganized, you will generate leads and eventually make sales. That is a system that works. The only thing is, do you want to place that system here or there, right? So the efforts are similar for cheap versus expensive services and products, but the business owners with higher priced services and products will eventually have better profit, obviously. So if you sell family homes, for example, with a good margin, then a business promotional video podcast is more worth your effort than for someone who sells lower priced commodities, right? And that example of selling homes also shows the difference in the importance building the know, like, and trust factor in different cultures, let alone negotiation styles, the demand for direct or indirect communication, etc. We talk about that in my intercultural psychology classes, but for the sake of this episode, imagine you are buying and selling houses in Germany. That is very likely a once-in-a-lifetime commitment, okay, or a decision, as opposed to other countries like in the US or in the UK, where people buy and sell houses with relevance to their stage of life and the number of family members and their age-dependent needs, right? So there are readily selling and buying houses as an investment strategy instead of like in Germany, where they tend to have an emotional attachment to the house. So for a real estate seller in the US or UK, retaining a client who wants to sell and buy another home in the next decade or in 20 years is important. And this is where a business promotion video podcast can really be gold. And you also need to think about your logistics, right? So warehousing. How fast and scalable can you meet the demand when your business promotion video podcast gains traction? I once had a client who opened up a wait list for the services because he was unable to serve and meet the demand with the team at hand. That is really important that you have your operations in place so you can focus on nurturing key client relationships. What is the real return on investment for you? And that might be different for you versus for me. And for me, as a business owner, it's not just about a dollar figure. It's about the feeling of freedom, a sense of trust, and the confidence that you are building something that will last. It doesn't have to be tomorrow, but I'm building a legacy. I'm building a brand so that I can have the clients in my future, and I have a wait list. So now we're starting with the most powerful return on investment of all. The foundational return of investment that builds your brand and authority. Okay? So we want to leverage the halo effect for your foundational return on investment. What's the halo effect, Eleonore? Well, to truly understand the value of your video podcast, we need to move beyond simple spreadsheets and apply a powerful psychological model that shapes how people perceive you. Okay? So we're going to be talking about the halo effect. And this is a well-established cognitive bias where a person's positive impression of someone in one area positively influences their opinion in another, often unrelated area. Okay? So in simple terms, if you're perceived as excellent, trustworthy, and authoritative here, that positive impression tends to spill over to somewhere else. That spillover effect makes people assume that you possess similar positive qualities in other aspects as well. And that is called the halo effect, which can also boost your pricing strategy because they see that excellence and then they assume that you will also deliver that excellence in that field. And this is where my unique personal brand, which is a blend of several distinct roles, becomes incredibly powerful. My brand isn't just one thing. It's a strategic mix, and each component casts its own positive halo effect. I am first and foremost a psychologist and a professor at an applied university, and my job is to teach students complex theories. So this immediately bestows a level of credibility, intellectual authority, and trustworthiness. When people encounter the title professor, doctor, they inherently associate me with deep knowledge, a validated experience, and an evidence-based approach, which they can also be sure of course. But it also comes with the assumption that a professor might be less commercially driven, have little to none business acumen, and no idea of innovation in the real world outside of academia. So this academic halo means that even before I articulate my business offerings, there is a pre-established foundation of respect, belief, and good or bad expectations in my capabilities. But my halo doesn't stop there. I also spent a significant time as an IT strategy consultant at Accenture, for example, and this experience adds another powerful layer. It shows that I'm not just a non-practical nerd, but I also have real-world high-stakes business experience. I work with CEOs, C-level executives. I understand complex organizational structures. I can manage technological implementations and strategic decision-making. Okay, so this consulting experience creates a halo effect of hands-on results orientation and an understanding of the corporate landscape, bridging the gap between academic theory and tangible business application. It tells people, without me telling them, I understand not just what works, but how it works in a competitive operational environment. And then there's this deeply relatable and human aspect. I am a working mom of 2 young kids. And this role resonates with so many of my listeners who are also juggling career demands and family life. And this creates this halo effect of relatability, empathy, and efficiency. And it communicates that I understand the challenges of time management, balancing priorities. I cannot waste time. And this constant quest for harmony between professional ambition and personal fulfillment is maybe something that triggers you as well and tells you, I get it. I am in the trenches with you, and I have found ways to make it work. And I want you now to understand that you can do this too, creating reorganized. And finally, I'm a podcaster. This is the vehicle through which all of these halo effects are amplified and consistently reinforced. My two podcasts, the Creating Reorganized show, but also the Postdoc Transformation show for the scientists leaping into business, just in case you don't know, are not just content outlets. They are a living, breathing extension of my personal brand. With every episode, I amplify my halo effects. So when a potential client or a collaborator encounters me, whether it's through a LinkedIn connection, a post, an email, or most powerfully through watching or listening to one of my podcast episodes, they are immediately exposed to this rich tapestry of credibility. They see the title Professor or Doctor, and they already have a positive impression of my intellectual rigor. They hear about Accenture and they trust my strategic acumen. They hear me talk about juggling family and they feel a human connection. And this can be your creating reorganized power of your own business promotional video podcast too. It is the most effective way to build this multifaceted halo effect around yourself and your brand. When people watch you, they get to know you. They see your expressions. They hear your authentic voice. They witness your passion, and they begin to trust you on a deeper level than they could ever have if they were just reading a blog post or scrolling through social media, especially in the age of AI avatars, right? This video podcast in particular accelerates your impression. And as we all know, people buy from people they know, like, and trust. And this business promotion video podcast of yours can accelerate this process exponentially because it brings the visual and auditory elements together, creating a much more immersive and personal connection. It's almost like having a one-on-one conversation with thousands of people simultaneously, building those halo effects with every single episode. So the return on investment of your business promotion video podcast is first and most important the trust and credibility that you build. And that is not just a nice to have. It's a measurable asset. It's the currency of influence. It allows you to cut through the noise, stand out in a crowded market, and attracts listeners who are already predisposed to believe in your expertise, because that's why they are already listening to you, right? So this foundational return of investment is what makes all the other types of return on investment possible. And here's the actionable prompt. Think about your own unique halo effects, experiences, your expertise, and your journey, and how you can use your video podcast to powerfully showcase and amplify them. This is where your true unique value lies. In our next part, we're going to dive into the more tangible, measurable metrics that every business owner needs to track, the financial and the brand return on invest. We'll get into the numbers, the metrics, and the practical tools that make it all possible. All right, so we've just talked about the foundational return of investment, the invaluable trust and authority that you build through the halo effect. Now we're moving into the territory that often feels more quantifiable, the tangible metrics that prove that your podcast is not just a passion project, but a powerful business asset. We're going to deep dive into the financial and brand authority return of investment that demonstrates your business promotion video podcast is a worthwhile investment of your time, energy, and resources. All right, so the financial return of investment from listener to lead to client. How does my business promotion video podcast actually make money? And the answer is in many different and often interconnected ways. It's not always a direct listen to buy immediate transaction, but rather a strategic journey through your sales funnel where your video podcast acts as the ultimate warm-up act. And I will link to episode 8 where I talk about the sales funnel so that I don't digress here. But we need to talk about direct lead generation and conversion. The most direct way your video podcast generates financial return on investment is by generating qualified leads for your business, which then convert into paying customers. All right. So my own Creating Reorganized podcast is a living example of a highly efficient lead generation machine. I've used it to grow my business according to my vision of life. And let me give you a real-world example to perfectly illustrate this. I hosted an on-site podcast-related meeting for 10 of my professor colleagues of my former university, interested in understanding how they could leverage the power of video podcasting for promoting their academic books and their consulting services. And this wasn't a cold outreach, right? It was engagement driven by their prior awareness of my work, likely influenced by my podcast and also my known experience, which they now see online. So out of those highly engaged professor colleagues, 4 of them became paying clients for my high-ticket coaching services. So think about that. With one in-person event directly stemming from the authority and interest generated by my podcasting activities, I was able to generate new, highly qualified business. And they weren't just random leads. They were colleagues who already knew my academic rigor and my strategic approach. That wasn't enough back then, but my social proof that I have garnered through my video podcasts made them ask me to help them out in their own business. Okay? And that is a clear, trackable, high-value return of investment. We're not talking about vanity metrics like likes or downloads or whatever, though that is relevant indirectly to boost that halo effect, right? But we're talking about real people who are already warmed up to your brand and your expertise, and they're ready now to invest in the solution you provide. And that demonstrates the power of the video podcast that creates a pre-qualified audience. And you can now also think about cost savings as your return of investment, okay? So beyond direct sales, consider the significant cost savings. Think of the time and money you don't have to spend on traditional, often less effective marketing activities like cold outreach, expensive networking events, or even constantly feeding the beast of paid social media, okay? You will gain organic reach and you can repurpose, and that will make your marketing efforts so much easier. Your video podcast is a 24/7, 365 lead machine that works for you even when you're sleeping, when you're with your family. So it constantly builds your audience, nurtures them, and positions you as the expert, requiring far less active selling from your end. That's a huge return right here, right? It reduces your customer acquisition costs significantly over time. And then you can also think of strategic monetization features. Platforms like Podbean offer specific monetization features that help contributing to your financial return of investment. They have an ads marketplace, and I've qualified for specific dynamic ad insertion features. That means that relevant advertisements can be automatically inserted into my episodes, generating passive income without me having to actively seek out sponsors for every single show. Furthermore, I can have a sponsoring link, which is far more attractive for me, and affiliate links directly within my show notes, and I can mention them in episodes, which increases not just my credibility, but also provides additional streams of revenue from aligned products and services. And you probably all know what I mean. These aren't just ads. They are endorsements of tools I genuinely use and believe in. So I'm further building trust while generating income. But I want to be honest with you. Selling ad spots and reading ads is a small income stream compared to the higher priced services and products you might sell. To make this easy to track, you need to find the right tools that integrate seamlessly into your workflow, allowing you to focus on your expertise and not just your manual data entry. You can have lead capture with Typeform. I use Typeform to create amazing on-brand and conversational forms for my lead magnets, like my business readiness quiz. And this is not just a boring form, it's an engaging experience that reflects my brand. Listeners click on a direct image or caption in my show notes, take the quiz, and enter their email address. This drastically increases completion rates for my lead magnets and quizzes, leading to more qualified leads because the interactive nature reduces frictions in the sales process. The engaging experience reinforces my brand voice and professionalism from the very first interaction, creating a memorable and positive first impression that differentiates me from my competitors. The AI-assisted design features also mean I spend less time on aesthetics and more time on the core content. And then we can talk about automatic nurturing with ActiveCampaign. The moment a listener fills out my Typeform quiz and enters their email address, that information is automatically forwarded to ActiveCampaign. And this immediately creates a contact who subscribes to one of my segmented email lists. This connection, established a long time ago, set and forget, is a cornerstone of my automation strategy. Within ActiveCampaign, I have the option to set specific business goals, allowing me to track conversion from my show notes directly to paying clients. And this gamification approach, which I love as a psychology, is particularly effective because it allows me to set a number of days until I want to reach a certain number of conversions. The dashboard provides a clear visual sign, a red sign for needs attention or green to according to plan. And this immediate feedback is invaluable for a strategic adjustment. ActiveCampaign also offers sophisticated tagging and segmentation, and that, from an IT perspective, is huge. I have a unique tag for every single episode of my podcast, so if a listener engages with multiple episodes, they become a warmer lead than a one-time listener. By tagging them based on their listening experience, or more accurately, their demonstrated interest, I can segment my audience precisely. And this wealth of data allows me to write highly customized emails that deepen trust because I'm not guessing, but I'm writing something relevant for them. And this targeted communication means I need fewer touch points, have less risk of deterring or losing leads due to the irrelevant messaging, and I can now focus my precious time on what really matters to me according to my vision of life. And this automation drives higher conversion rates from warmer leads and significantly reduces my manual sales effort. Now let's talk about the next pillar, brand and authority return on investment beyond the numbers. And that pillar is harder to put a direct monetary number on, but is arguably more valuable in the long run than immediate financial returns. It creates a sustainable foundation for all future growth. So that is establishing an unquestionable thought leadership. When you show up consistently with valuable insights and deliver high quality content through your video podcast, you become a trusted expert and an authority figure in your field. And this is how you build a powerful brand that attracts opportunities to you instead of having to constantly chasing them down, right? So you shift from being a vendor to a go-to resource. And the next point we want to talk about is this ultimate social proof and trust signal. And I have a perfect example for this. After consistently podcasting for 2 years, investing my time and expertise, I received an incredible invitation. I was asked to be a featured guest on Podbean's very own in-house podcast, Podbean Amplified. Season 1, Episode 1. I was invited to speak about how I podcast. Isn't that amazing? Think about that for a second, okay? The company that hosts my podcast shows, the platform that enables my entire operation as a podcaster, saw the value I was providing and asked me to be featured as a voice on their most prominent show. That is the ultimate trust signal, the most powerful social proof I could ever get, right? So it wasn't just a recognition, it was a profound endorsement granted by my very own podcast hosting and monetizing platform, Podbean. And this feature led to significant ripple effects. It opened up new connections with other esteemed podcasters who confirmed my abilities, stating that I podcast well enough to swim along, right? They actively liked and engaged with my social media content. That further amplifies my reach and credibility. And this external validation gives me an incredible boost when I approach potential clients or partners, right? I leverage this by proudly sharing this highlight in every show note and on my social media as a constant comment. I'm reinforcing my authority. Other podcasters are seeking collaboration because they have found my Creating Reorganized show. And that is because of my interview on Podbean Amplified. And this level of authority means that I don't have to convince people that I know what I'm talking about or that my methods work, right? So my podcast and this powerful endorsement have already done that for me. It allows me to position my Creating Reorganized services as a premium high-value solution for clients who are already convinced of my expertise, significantly reducing the sales cycle and increasing the value of my offerings. I have a wait list. I don't have to work with them if I don't want to. So here's your actionable prompt. Think about your brand and authority return on investment beyond the numbers. How can your business promotion video podcast boost your brand and as an authority, which would allow you to sell your offerings at a higher price point maybe, or even new target groups with bigger pockets and ready to spend their money with you? In our next part, we're going to dive into the final and in many ways the most profound pillar, the personal and professional return of investment. We'll talk about the technology I use to automate everything from content editing to social media scheduling and reveal a new service for those who want the return of investment without the hands-on effort, because you have a business to run. All right, so we've just covered the financial return of investment, how your podcast generates leads and sales, and the brand and authority return of investment, how that builds trust and elevates your standing in your industry. Now, we want to talk about the most precious commodity of all small business owners, your time and your sanity and your ultimate personal and professional return of investment. And this is where my background as a psychologist, a professor, and a business owner all come together. I believe that your business should serve you according to your vision of life, not the other way around. It should be a vehicle for your fulfillment, your impact, and your freedom. Your return of investment on your personal time, your professional development, and your ability to live according to your own values is something that is absolutely needed, and you need to factor that into the equation. It's the core of what Creating Reorganized truly means. Here's the pillar: personal and professional return of investment beyond the balance sheet. So we're talking about growth, education, and real-world impact. And my shows, Creating Reorganized and the Post-Doc Transformation Show, have been my personal investment in my own knowledge, resilience, and growth. And the process of researching, creating, and producing these episodes and the sheer amount of real-world data and experience I've collected is something I can now directly share with my own bachelor and master students in real life. And this is the kind of return of investment that you cannot put a dollar figure on, but it's invaluable for me as a professor. It makes my job more engaging and my teaching profoundly more impactful. Let me give you a powerful example. In every episode of my Creating Reorganized show, I meticulously explain psychological concepts, models, and theories with a direct relevance for marketing and sales. This is not just abstract theory. It's a case study for my students, providing a direct window into the real business world they are preparing to enter. And a standard moment for me was when I took my master students to a startup event at the Gründungsfabrik Mönchengladbach in Germany, which was actually hosted by my former student, Jamie Lee Post. This was a full circle moment for me. There I was able to match 4 of my students who are graduating in 2026 with a real startup founder. Their assignment was to align a business promotion video podcast for this founder, directly applying the principles and strategies from our Creating Reorganized show. It was such a win for all parties that the Gründungsfabrik Mönchengladbach has invited me to their next starter club in September 25, and that will have taken place at the time of this episode's release date. And I cannot wait to see my new students serving startup founders with a business promotion video podcast in the coming months. Why? because that last time was an incredible hands-on opportunity for my students to not only meet a real startup founder, but to learn about the raw, unfiltered business hurdles firsthand. They got to create a student assignment that was 100% applicable for their client. It was an absolute didactic joy for me, and their efforts weren't just graded by myself and then ignored afterwards, but instead they were valued and applied and potentially impactful in a real business setting. And this direct application of theory into practice, driven by the insights of my podcasting experience, is an immense professional return of investment for me. It's also networking on autopilot, and this is really important for you as a business owner. So your podcast is a powerful organic networking tool. It positions you as a connector and as an expert. You can strategically invite your dream clients, potential collaborators, and influential figures in your industry to be guests on your show. This allows you to build genuine relationships that would be incredibly difficult through cold outreach. And these connections often lead to unexpected partnerships, speaking engagements, and new opportunities that are hard to get any other way. If you want to learn more about that, please subscribe, because in the next 2 episodes, I'll be doing a deep dive into market research and also the supply chain to boost the return on investment of your business promotional video podcast. Stay tuned. Now, you might be thinking, this all sounds amazing, Eleanor, but how do you do it all? You're a professor, a working mom, 2 young kids, you run 2 successful podcasts. Where does the time come from? It's consistent strategy and carefully selected technology. Technology is my friend. I'm a huge proponent of using tech to free up your human time for more important creative work so that you can have deeper engagement with your clients, or most importantly, to have dinner with your families and, study with your kids, whatever. So this is a core part of my strategy, and this is why I have meticulously built my business with these tools. My decision to use them is strategic. They integrate seamlessly, they automate data flow, they significantly save time, and they reduce my errors. They provide an AI sandbox for my experimentation, and they serve as a living, breathing example for my students of how to leverage technology to build a business that truly works for them. Are you ready for my toolkit? That's my automation playbook for measurable freedom. This is where I pull back the curtain and show you the exact tech stack that enables me to achieve all this return of investment without sacrificing my life. And these are all the tools that allow me to do CreatingReorganized, okay? So for hosting and analytics, that's Podbean. A lot of you have asked me, which hosting platform can you recommend? And I tell them the honest truth. I can't give you a before story with another host because I chose Podbean as my very first hosting platform back when I started, and I never had a single reason to switch. It was my right choice from the beginning. It's rapid launch capability, and that means I can get out my content faster, establishing my lead generation quicker, and absolutely reliable. It's a reliable distribution engine that ensures there is no tech issues interrupting my sales funnel, meaning my content is always available to convert. I am also building my own brand authority and return of investment with Podbean. They are an established player and always driving innovation. The professional hosting lends immense credibility to my show. Consistent uptime and availability of my content reinforce reliability and professionalism. And as I shared earlier, being featured on their own Podbean Amplified podcast amplified my brand in an unparalleled way, solidifying my position as an expert in the industry. So I'm tagging on to a big horse, right? Freeing up my mental energy for content creation rather than technical headaches. This allows me to focus on my teaching, consulting, and family without worrying about hosting issues. I don't have them. Everybody can post on YouTube, right? LinkedIn, TikTok, and Instagram. But having your own business promotion video podcast uppens your game. And that show is really making it easy to derive content for all your social media platforms. So here's the actionable prompt. Who is your target audience? Where do they hang out? If they already consume podcasts, consider Podbean as the big player in the podcasting space, because you cannot afford to sleep on podcasting to market your business. Describe your ideal customers and research whether your competitors already have a business promotion video podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you name it, right? So you know that Podbean will distribute that automatically to all major podcast players. If you see a similar podcast to what you would have imagined for your own business, then you can think of how can you differentiate your brand and yourself in your niche with your video podcast. Now I want to divert your attention to editing, repurposing, creating. I swear by Descript. I'm not a video editor. Before I found Descript, I was recording 5-minute segments and manually merging them together with an external clunky tool. It was a tedious, mind-numbing process that took hours and was prone to errors, okay? So I was ready to give up or hire a video editor. But now with Descript, it's a game changer. You need to edit the video, yes, but I can now edit the video editing the transcript, just like a Word doc. So I can now have my editing done for the long-form audio and the 20+ social clips per episode in hours. And you can do that too, if I can do this, right? Descript dramatically speeds up content creation. Otherwise, I would not have been able to create a second podcast. It allows me to produce better episodes for both shows more efficiently. I can now rewrite and organically integrate mentions of my affiliates and services directly into the script, highlighting new features as they are valuable in the given context. And this ensures that my advertisements or call to actions are not skipped or ignored because they have become known and stale. I can now also read every ad fresh for each episode, which increases the listener's experience and my retention and conversion. It's more benefit for my listeners now to listen to my ads. Descript's easy transcription is also a massive win for search engine optimization. I can now quickly generate text content for my website and show notes, making my episodes more discoverable by search engines and amplifying my authority. Simply put, Descript allows me a huge personal and professional return of investment. The most imminent benefit is a massive reduction of frustration and mental load. Now, you all know why I love Descript, and I haven't even talked about recording interviews with multiple guests remotely, because I also have my experience with that, or creating explainers with AI avatars. If you want a dedicated episode on how I use Descript for interviewing and demonstrating products and services. And here's an actionable prompt. Maybe you are hesitant about starting your own business promotion video podcast because you thought that the video and audio editing is so heavy. But imagine what a business promotion video podcast can get you for your business. Maybe it's worth learning Descript or hire me to do that for you. All right, and I already alluded to that earlier. I post consistently, but my secret weapon is Metricool. I'm an expert in psychological marketing, but I'm not a social media manager. And before Metricool, I was spending hours every week manually posting content across different platforms, often struggling to keep up. Content would get either skipped or posted in a hazard, impacting my reach. Now, with Metricool, that entire nightmare is gone. Metricool has this auto list feature, and that is my lifesaver. I upload all my social media clips, and then for each social media platform, I adjust the captions in style and length and define the specific weekdays and times for posting, and then set multiple times throughout the day. I click on repeat. My content now cycles on autopilot through my social media platforms, consistently driving traffic and leads to my podcast and offers until I intentionally change and add something new. And this consistent visibility means that I avoid missed opportunities due to inconsistent posting and ensures efficient use of my marketing time. it directly contributes to a steady stream of listeners entering my sales funnel. And again, listen back to episode 8 about my sales funnel, as linked in the show notes. Instead of spending precious time in social media rabbit holes, I can now comment in metrical across all social media platforms. And provided, of course, that I have enough content to post, but that's not my problem, because since I run 2 business promotion video podcasts, I have the opposite problem. When collaborators or partners now want to find a spot for creating a new post spontaneously, it's really hard because I already have planned my content out until the end of 25. Remember, I am always a season ahead. That is time and money saved for me. So here's your actionable prompt. Imagine what you can do with all your saved time when you schedule your posts to be consistent for your ideal clients on social media. Remember, you need to serve them, but it shouldn't be costing you a lot. If you don't have your own business promotion video podcast yet, how would that make you feel? What of your content can you schedule in advance to market your business according to your vision of life? So now we have journeyed through all the critical facets, from foundational trust built by the halo effect to the measurable metrics of your financial and brand authority return of investment. Now we dive into the personal freedom you can gain from leveraging strategic technology. Your business promotion video podcast is a meticulously engineered trust-building machine, a strategic asset that transforms your business and, more importantly, your life. For me, creating and maintaining my 2 podcasts has become the personal best investment in effort versus benefits for being on brand, having a consistent marketing, and generating leads. Now, let's circle back to my core philosophy, which has always been about empowering you. I'm not gatekeeping. I explain what I do and how I do everything, right down to the specific tools and strategies. But what I have constantly found is, after guiding so many business owners through this process, sometimes after seeing the full scope of the process, the strategic planning, the content production, the distribution, the promotion, the automation, well, then the business owner decides that they don't want to do it all because they fear that hands-on implementation themselves. They do see the immense value and they understand the how, but they see that they don't have the time to learn all that. And maybe also their passion lies elsewhere. Or they simply recognize that their expertise is best applied to their own core offerings. I'll never forget a moment with a client who encapsulated this perfectly last year. After several in-depth strategy discussions over lunch, she said, "Eleanor, I know you don't have time for this, but I feel bad not paying you. All these lunches were already so valuable, but I want to continue working with you. Can you do this podcast for me?" And that was before I had this white label premium offer, because I thought that I want to enable you to do that for yourself. And she said, "Yeah, I know, but I don't want to. Can you?" And this, dear Creating Reorganizer, is exactly why I developed this Creating Reorganized podcasting service. It's a premium, done-for-you solution for established business owners and experts who want all the incredible return of investment from a high-quality, strategically managed video podcast without the day-to-day time investments or the learning curve of doing it themselves. We handle the comprehensive strategy, the seamless production, the meticulous distribution, and the potent promotion on social media. You get all the measurable financial, brand, and personal return of investment, freeing you to focus on your genius. By strategically implementing everything we've discussed in this playbook, you can ultimately gain it back over your business and your life. Maybe you have an established business ready to scale your impact and you manage your operations effectively. But now you want a constant stream of high-quality lead generation and a sophisticated strategy to build your premium authority on the market. If you are now looking to increase your high-ticket sales and you understand that trust and expertise are the foundations for that, DM me to start and run your business promotion video podcast. Why you should work with me? Well, I have the experience with CEOs and the C-level suite during my time at Accenture, and that allows me to position you as the high-caliber expert and problem solver that you truly are. As a psychologist, I can deeply understand your ideal client's needs and translate that into trustworthy, highly reputable business promotion video podcast content and marketing strategies. Think of the real estate seller dealing in multi-million-dollar properties where the profit margin is high, but the entire business process is hinging on the absolute foundation of trust and reputation. These are the kinds of trust-based, high-value businesses I now attract and serve in my own season breaks. And I have to be honest, this ability to cherry pick has profoundly impacted my income, ensuring I work with clients who value my expertise and are prepared for the investment. And more importantly, it has revolutionized my work-life balance. My daily and weekly schedule is no longer dictated by the relentless chase for new business. I have now, because I podcast, the luxury of choice. And that is the most valuable return of investment of all. So, your last actionable prompt for your journey onward is to truly internalize this playbook. Don't let the fear of not knowing the exact return of investment stop you from doing the thing that can change your business and life. The value is there. We just need to learn how to measure it, how to leverage it, and how to make it work for you. Every business owner is unique. My final thought for you is this: you can start messy, but you don't have to stay messy if you understand and apply the principles of Creating Reorganized to your business promotion video podcast. It's my best personal investment in efforts versus benefits of on-brand, consistent marketing and generating leads according to my vision of life. That's the freedom I want for you too. So thank you so much for being here with me today. Please subscribe and leave us a 5-star rating and review us on your favorite podcast player and comment all your questions regarding your business promotion video podcast to me directly so I can answer them in future episodes. Until the next episode, happy creating reorganized according to your vision of life.
Do you want to start your own side business as a runway for your better future? Then you will benefit from our free business readiness quiz as linked in the show notes. Are you a small business owner and want to create sustainable marketing and sales content? Try video podcasting about your service or product, like I do in my postdoc transformation show. I'm a mom of 2 kids in school and a professor, and I have no time to lose running my business. And if you also want to save time and energy, use our Dovetail Evergreen strategy. You can easily derive countless valuable social media content from just one video podcast episode. You can quickly attract a broad audience across many social media platforms and then nurture them into leads and clients in their ears and emails while you live according to your vision of life. Let me teach you Creating Reorganized. If you're ready to dive in and start your own podcasting journey, I highly recommend checking out the tools I mentioned earlier: Podbean, Descript, Typeform, ActiveCampaign, Thinkific, and Metricool. Each of these services has made my podcasting business experience smoother and more efficient, and I trust that they can help you too. Thank you for listening to our Creating Reorganized show. If you found this episode helpful, please subscribe, share it with your business friends, and leave a review on your favorite podcast player. Your feedback helps me as a small business owner to serve more small business owners for free, so thank you. I'm your host, Professor Dr. Eleonore Soei-Winkels, and now I wish you a happy Creating Reorganized according to your vision of life. Create.